I welcome you to the pure world I have forged.
The iconic series Tomb Raider has a plethora of crazy and unique boss fights. To celebrate the upcoming Tomb Raider remasters, I wanted to revisit each Tomb Raider game and rank every boss fight, starting where it all began. Lara's debut sees her searching for the scion of Atlantis on behalf of the eccentric businesswoman Jacqueline Natler. Her adventure leads her from the depths of the lost city of Vilcabamba to the truth behind Atlantis itself. Along the way, Lara encounters many bosses, some human, some not so much. Tomb Raider 1 provides us with a range of unique enemies for Lara to face. When ranking them, I will look at some key points to justify their placements. Number 1. How fun is the fight? Probably the most important thing. How challenging is the boss? Is it justified or just cheap? What abilities do they have and how hard are they to overcome? Does the fight happen in an interesting arena that might have its own hazards? And number 2, lore. Is this boss fight significant to the story? What does it mean for Lara? Is there any subtext to gain from analysing this fight? With that said, let's dive right in. Number 10. Out of all of Natler's henchmen, Bald Guy, is probably the most underwhelming boss fight. Lucky for us, none of the boss fights in Tomb Raider 1 are too annoying to deal with. That honour goes to the Atlantean mummies that can run circles around you. Bald Guy is neither annoying or particularly special. As with the other human enemies encountered in the original Tomb Raider, he will simply try and shoot you with his shotgun. Unfortunately for him, Lara at this point in the level, Natler's mines, will have already recovered her pistols and have her magnums and Uzis on hand too. While his shotgun packs a punch, you can easily run around him in this open area and even hide behind the buildings and blocks if you need to. I like the idea that he acts as the last line of defense for Natler. Perhaps having him guard the entrance to the pyramid indicates he is the meanest of her henchmen as well as the biggest. And while he offers some funny one-liners,
say cheese,
the boss itself isn't anything terribly unique or challenging. Number 9. If anything would indicate the era this game was released, then this hooligan on a skateboard would be it. Also, did you know that according to Tomb Raider, the Atlanteans not only invented H.R. Geiger-esque interiors and the power to breathe new life, but also skateboard parks. This boss fight literally has you take on a skateboard kid in a skate park, which is hilariously ridiculous even by Tomb Raider standards. As with the bald guy, Lara will be armed well enough against the kid, but the arena itself does offer some pitfalls, mostly into lava, or if you are lucky, some water. The kid himself is more mobile and can swing around you pretty fast. Again, he simply shoots you with his Uzis and isn't too challenging, even with just the pistols. At least with the bald guy, the area itself has some context behind it, but a skate park? Not quite. Skater Boy has a great line when Lara starts shooting him.
You firing at me? You firing at me, huh? Ain't nobody else here, you must be firing at me!
But he probably goes down as one of the weirdest bosses in the series, which is saying something considering what the series has to offer. Number 8. While the cowboy might be the most generic looking of Natler's henchmen, his boss fight is probably the more interesting one. What is significant about your first encounter with him is that Lara will be completely weaponless. You start off Natler's mines without any guns at all, and entering this area you are greeted with the cowboy, ready to blast you to hell even if it ain't nothing personal. Simply run in and grab the fuse you need and then escape. Even when you finally get your pistols back, facing him is a bit more challenging due to the area itself, offering sneaky hidden slopes into pits of lava, not to mention the cliffside drop into more of the stuff. While he's not terribly unique, I appreciate that he acts as a proper roadblock when you first meet him, and even when you get your pistols, it's still a precarious encounter. Number 7. The centaurs are first encountered in the Tomb of Tehokan, acting as guards to the entrance. Perhaps foreshadowed in the tomb of Qualopec with the moving mummies, seeing these skinned bacon horses is certainly a surprise. Perhaps they could be considered more sub-bosses, as they will appear in both Egypt and Atlantis after this first encounter. Centaurs can be quite the pain to deal with, shooting at Lara with damaging fireballs. These can usually be side-jumped, but sometimes the area can restrict your movement, making you an easy target for their bombardment. During the first encounter, the centaur will burst to life from the statue and start blasting away. It's certainly a memorable way to introduce your new opponent, but this boss falls short because of two reasons. Firstly, you can easily dodge its attacks thanks to the fair amount of room, and secondly, you can, if you wish, run right past it. For some reason, it won't pursue you into the next room, making it a little bit underwhelming. Despite this, centaurs offer a decent challenge as you continue through the game, and when paired with the mummies, can be quite the hassle. Number 6. Larson has the honour of being the first character in the Tomb Raider franchise to speak.
What's a man gotta do to get that kind of attention from you?
Not to mention introduces us to Lara herself. As a boss, he doesn't offer anything radically unique, simply shooting at Lara when he spots her. What is significant about his two encounters though is the context. Larson and Lara's dynamic is interesting to watch unfold during the story, seeing how they go from slightly flirty colleagues at first, to having Larson try to steal the Scion from her once she escapes the tomb of Qualopec. Lara seems rather unfazed by his betrayal, and calmly mocks him for having her total attention now. Once Larson helpfully gives Lara some clues on where to go next, she repays him with a spin kick to the head. Even this is referenced again, when at the end of the Egypt section, Larson returns. He's still got a pain in his brain from Lara, and clearly is ready to throw down for real. Larson will swagger around this Egyptian tomb full of confidence, before Lara puts him down for good. Or, if you desire, you can simply run up to the Scion and grab it, leaving him there. Larson's fights certainly aren't super challenging, but the little story anecdotes give them a bit more emotional catharsis. Number 5. Arguably the closest thing Lara has to a rival in this game, Pierre is a thorn in the player's side throughout the Greece levels. We don't know much about his backstory, but clearly he is just as skilled as Lara, seemingly able to get to areas before even she can. Throughout the Greek levels, he always seems to appear at the worst times, blasting away with his magnums until you scare him off or run away. In these early encounters, he is invulnerable and will only leave you alone if you shoot him enough. Sometimes the stage can offer some cover, like the pillars at the start of St. Francis Folly. Other times you have no choice but to leg it before he guns you down like in the Colosseum. His unpredictable appearances can often throw you off your game, and paired with the various animal enemies in these levels can cause a lot of chaos. You definitely feel on edge as you proceed deeper into Greece, never knowing when he will show up to cause you pain. His aim always seems to be perfect, and he can annoyingly hit you even when you think you might be safe. This constant threat makes you feel on the back foot for most of this section, and even when you manage to reach the Scion piece, Pierre has already gotten there before you. However, finally having the chance to take him down for good is cathartic, to say the least. Not before he rubs it in one more time that he is better than Lara.
A little late for the prize giving, no? Still, it is the taking part which counts.
Despite all his bravado, Pierre goes down fairly easily. Having the chance to finally take him out is probably one of the most satisfying moments in the whole game. Number 4. So the Doppelganger, or Bacon Lara as she is more affectionately known, might be the most dubious boss on this list. For starters, I'm not even sure she counts as a boss, but as she is such a unique encounter in the game, I feel like she at least deserves sub-boss status. We first meet her deep into the level Atlantis, encountering a horde of skinless mutants. Then we see her standing there and copying our every movement. The doppelganger will only harm Lara if she is shot at, and somehow the damage will come out of Lara's health instead. In reality, she is more of a puzzle than a boss. With the room itself being a perfect mirror image, it becomes clear that we can use Bacon Lara's copying to our advantage. Having to figure out how to deal with her is quite the refreshing change of pace, especially compared to the hordes of mutants we've been gunning down throughout the level so far. This is a more thoughtful enemy encounter that lets Lara use her brain rather than her brawn. Story-wise, there isn't too much to go on. As the level itself has presented a variety of horrible creatures so far, it's possible that the doppelganger is just another mutant, maybe created by Natla to trick Lara into killing herself. Or maybe it's just a happy accident. Well, unhappy for the doppelganger. Bacon Sani, anyone? Number 3. Coming in at number 3 is the infamous T-Rex. You will usually see this encounter in top 10 lists for Tomb Raider, and it's not hard to see why. Up to this point in the game, the enemies and obstacles have been rather conventional, but here in the Lost Valley, things take a turn. Not only are we greeted with some ferocious velociraptors, but continuing into the dark we encounter something bigger and meaner. The T-Rex is the biggest enemy we've met so far, and it's not here to play. Being mauled to death by this thing is a sight to behold, and makes you realise for how badass Lara can be, she can also be dispatched just as easily. Meeting these living, breathing dinosaurs also starts to deepen the possibilities of the Tomb Raider world. How are they still alive? Did the Scion cause this? Are there some kind of guard against those who would try to retrieve the Scion? The environment itself tells a story, with skeletons littering the area. It's clear this place isn't one many have escaped from. Despite how dangerous the T-Rex is, Lara's acrobatics and dual pistols are more than enough to take it down. You can even use the environment to your advantage, hiding in the alcoves or even climbing up to the bridge out of harm's way. Regardless, the T-Rex still remains one of the most memorable encounters in the entire series. Number 2. The Torso Boss, aka the Abomination, aka Adam, aka the Legless Mutant, is the penultimate boss in Tomb Raider 1 and on this list too. He is, let's just say, not exactly a sight for sore eyes. In this pyramid filled with horrible skinless monsters, the torso is perhaps the creepiest. Natla's plan to unleash these mutants on the world is not a pleasant thought, so taking it down is a must. The creature will drag itself around on this tiny platform, trying to squish Lara. He even gets a unique kill animation which is oddly childlike, which maybe makes it even more macabre. This new breed is a gigantic bullet sponge, and despite its slow movement, will take some time to put down. The tiny platform offers a massive drop into some lava should you fall off, with it being so far down, Lara has enough time to scream thrice. Probably the most iconic thing about this boss is his dramatic death scene. As with all the mutants in the pyramid, upon dying they explode into chunks of exploding gore. Old Adam here is no different, but he really lays it on thick. Well, if you're gonna go out with style, right? The Torso Boss is the perfect way to start the final level of the game, and help start the crazy escape from Atlantis. But before Lara can escape, she has one more enemy to deal with. But before that, here's a recap of the rankings so far. Number 10, Bald Guy.
Stop, sucker!
Number 9, Skateboard Kid.
You firing at me? You firing at me, huh? Ain't nobody else here. You must be firing at me.
Number 8, The Cowboy.
Ain't nothing personal.
Number 7, The Centaurs. Number 6, Larson.
I still got a pain in my brain from you. And it's telling me funny ideas now, like to shoot you to hell.
Number 5, Pierre.
A little late for the prize giving, no? Still, it is the taking part which counts.
Number 4, the doppelganger. Number 3, the T-Rex. Number 2, the torso. Number 1. Who else could top all the bosses in Tomb Raider 1 other than the OG villain of the series? Jacqueline Natla is arguably one of Lara's biggest nemeses in the entire series, and this debut game proves why. Not only does Natla have all the resources she needs to get what she wants, she also has the power to threaten humanity with her ambitions. Natla sets Lara's first adventure into motion, hiring her to find the Skion in Peru. She sends Larson after her to reclaim the Skion and hires Pierre to get the next half in Greece. The mystery of Natla and the Skion is slowly filled in as Lara proceeds in her adventure, discovering that Atlantis was behind much of our known history, and that 3 rulers each held a piece of the Skion, which holds immense powers. Lara learns that one of the 3 rulers tried to use the Skion for their own good. This ambitious and mysterious figure responsible for the destruction of Atlantis and the creation of horrible creatures, it's Natla. Yes, not only is Natla a successful businesswoman and head of a tech company, but also an Atlantean god some thousands of years old. She wanted the Skion found so she could reattempt her plans to accelerate evolution. As Lara fights her way up the pyramid, all the horrible creatures encountered are part of Natla's grand design. She wants to unleash her creations on the world to force humanity to fight for survival, and make them evolve whether they want to or not. Unfortunately for her, Lara isn't one to suffer fools, and in attempting to shoot the Skion, the battery that powers this giant creature factory, Natla tries to stop her, only to plummet to her death. Except not really, because just as Lara is about to emerge from the crumbling ruins of the pyramid, just as she escapes falling masonry, arrows, lava and traps, Natla returns to stop us one last time. She flies above Lara like some kind of she-devil, raining down those familiar fireballs and deliberately flying out of range so Lara can't retaliate. Entering this arena for the first time only to be bombarded immediately puts you on the back foot, with Natla having the high ground. While Lara can use the pillars as cover, so can Natla. With her flight advantage, she can be quite the pain in the neck. Even if she lands and you can get a proper shot on her, she will attack with many fireballs at once which do a lot of damage. But eventually, you can damage her enough to finally stop the Queen of Atlantis for good. A closer look reveals that Natla has had an Atlantean upgrade, having a pair of mutant wings and arm cannon attached to her body. Clearly, they weren't all that good though, as we gunned her down with ease.
You can't bump off me and my brood so easy, Lara.
Oh. Just like a classic horror villain, Natla gets back up one more time. While she can't fly now, she will shoot you with her needle gun and run around you. One can admire Natla for having such tenacity, but shooting her down now is much easier as she's grounded. Taking her down one more time seems to down her permanently. And so ends Natla's ambition, and Lara is home free. Having Natla show up as the place is collapsing gives this final boss fight an epic feel. Natla herself uses abilities we've seen from other enemies throughout the game, but combines them all to show us who the Queen really is. Her flying over us and keeping out of range forces us to keep on the move, and even when she's down, she's not out. Taking her on feels like a brilliant way to end the game, and makes the finale feel that much more epic. Natla, you might be the former Queen of Atlantis, but now you are Queen of the Tomb Raider 1 bosses. So there we have it, the 10 bosses in the original Tomb Raider ranked. This list was a lot of fun, and something I want to do for each main game in the series, so look out for more of them in the future. Please check out these other videos of mine here below, and also feel free to follow me on Twitch, where we stream all sorts of things, including Tomb Raider. Until next time. Thanks for watching.